Good evening, viewer. Welcome to Zoom in Africa, wherever you're joining us from. My name is Henry Korea. Much in fact, it has been quite a long time before we were together with you. We had the World Cup, but today we get back to meet the CEO segment. And today we are talking about sanitation. You know, sanitation is one and a very important requirement to any given community. Proper sewerage system, proper waste management and disposal is what defines sanitation.
Very true, and that forms the basis of our discussion tonight. My name is Florence Ndongo. According to United Nations research on sanitation, marginal areas such as the slums are considered the most affected when it comes to poor sanitation. This is attributed by overpopulation, where in 1 square kilometer piece of land, more than 100 families live on it, thus causing an even worse situation of living where nothing could be done to provide basic amenities.
Waste disposal is a key thing here. You have heard of flying toilets before, I know that. This is a vice associated with these areas. We discovered that there is someone who has come out strong to provide proper sanitation by introducing modern class toilets to the slum communities to take care of poor sanitation and at the same time employing the slum people and therefore collecting waste on a daily basis and the proceeds to produce fertilizer and biogas.
Very important. Well, we are talking about Sanergy company, which started in 2011 and is improving the sanitation around Mukuru kwa Ruben, one of the Kenyan slums east of the Kenyan capital that is Nairobi. The toilets, franchised as Fresh Life, are built for customer on order, going for 50,000 Kenya shillings. The local entrepreneurs attest that they are profitable, where at worst one can bag 700 Kenya shillings.
I believe that's per day.
Yes.
Yes. You know, the toilets operate as a business to entrepreneurs, at the same time sourcing raw material for biogas and fertilizer for the Sanergy waste processing zone. Who exactly are the mind behind this project? Today we meet Dennis Ochieng.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. How's been your week?
It has been tight, but we're happy. It's a new week, and we are ready to face the week as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Actually, it was the weekend. Now we are starting. Okay. And today it's Meet the CEO segment. And again, we just want to welcome our viewers. I know you missed us, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we've not been around from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday because we had an amazing World Cup in our compound. But we are back. This is the Meet the CEO segment, the Monday segment of Zoom in Africa. And as my co-host Henry said, today we have Dennis Ochieng, who is the sales and marketing, I believe, manager for Sanergy.
Sales and operations.
Yeah, sales and operations. Just tell us briefly about the company. What is it all about? A bit of it, the background. When did you start and why?
Sanergy is a company that was established by a group of 3 former classmates who at that time were in MIT School of Business. They had an idea of using a business model to solve a social problem. And having a background of having lived in countries where sanitation has been a problem, solving the sanitation problem was top in their priority list of social ventures that could address, use a business model to address. And they left Nairobi, and in 2011, July, set an office here. And since then, it's grown to be a company employing over 100 people, having a network of 250 Fresh Life toilets in Bukuru areas, and also recently around the Gikomba areas. And at the same time, we have created jobs for over 115 operators who are managing these facilities. And the same operators, we have them, they also employ other people, so we are creating jobs across all the segments, from the operators to the people working at Sanergy, and also through the process of the waste process.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Why did you pick up the sanitation area, specifically into these areas that we hear you talking about?
Yeah, in Nairobi, we know that the majority of the population is estimated that over 60% of Nairobi population live in informal settlements. And in formal settlements, sanitation is one of the biggest challenges of the people face. So when the idea was hatched, then Mukuru became the most favorable area to start the business. And that's why we landed in Mukuru through research and also through kind of testing of a piloting in other areas. Then it came out that Mukuru became the best candidate for setting up the business.
You know, for most of the guys, just getting into a toilet and coming out and finding clean water and sanitation is never a problem, but now we have Sanergy doing it in places where perhaps, I don't know if I should say, to some people it might appear as a privilege. What was the situation like when you started in Mukuru kwa Jenga? How are the people surviving without proper sanitation?
I'm sure all our viewers and even you are aware of what you call the flying toilets. I can remember 2 years ago when we first set the first toilet in Mukuru. When walking in the alleys of the Mukuru areas, you'd most likely step on a bomb. And the bomb, you know what it is, a flying toilet that's just landed somewhere there. And I can tell you for sure that if you walk in those areas now, the impact is massive. You can walk. There's some areas that you never dare cross before. Now you can easily walk through the paths, and where there's a Fresh Life toilet, the brand is now well known and people associate it with the clean and hygienic sanitation. And anywhere you go by in the community, they identify and they are proud to be associated with Fresh Life. So the impact that Fresh Life is making in the community is acknowledged. And if from on layman's view eyes, you can just measure the impact from any area before the establishment of a Fresh Life toilet and after the establishment, and you can see the difference that the area just looks totally different. Yeah.
Okay, prove me wrong on this. It is not easy to start any business. How was it like for you starting a toilet business?
It's not been easy. We have to admit that initially, the first few months, it was like people were still very pessimistic about the whole idea. If you tell somebody that we're going to build a toilet, install, collect waste on a daily basis, people are like, you guys are crazy. We've seen so many NGOs come here. They tell us that they'll be collecting waste and then they disappear into thin air. While at that point, with that kind of pessimism, people aren't willing to accept. But we have what we call the pace setters. They are daring to start what someone else has not started. And through that, we've seen the network grow. Through people seeing that now, oh, it can work. The ones who have purchased initially, they have seen that we have a dedicated team that the waste is collected on a daily basis. Not even one single day has there been a miss in terms of collection. It's been 100% collection. And this is what has built the trust in the people in the community. They're saying, yes, we thought this is like any other company, any other NGO, but you have proved us wrong, and now actually you are delivering what you promised.
All right, very important. Well, today in Zoom in Africa, we are glad to be talking about sanitation, and on set we have someone from Sanergy. It's a company started especially to offer sanitation to slum areas, starting with Mukuru kwa Jenga, and now they've proceeded to around what do you call that place? Gikomba area, yeah. And I don't know where you live, maybe Nairobi or elsewhere, but you want to know how do you maintain sanitation wherever you are coming from. Just text us on 21144, that is our SMS line. And if you have a question, you can ask our guest on the same SMS line. But before, I know a lot of guys would want to know how Sanergy is doing it. As you've heard from our guest earlier, there are a lot of NGOs who have come up with the same kind of a project, but it has failed. We want to know how they are maintaining in the market and how guys are responding. So we will be glad to interact with you on 21144. But before we go further, let's take a look at the first video of tonight's segment.
Sanergy is a foreign company run by local Kenyans at Mukuru kwa Ruben. The company started some 3 years back with an aim of providing proper sanitation to marginal areas, specifically the slums, where sanitation is at its worst phase.
If you look at Mukuru in terms of sanitation, the need was great. And so once we came here and did some bit of surveys, it was easier for us to kind of work with the people and get into the community. Obviously, there are lots of other people that are working in other areas, but for us, this was like the starting point, and we do intend to launch into other areas.
Started in 2011, Sanergy company decided to provide a complete sanitation program chain in terms of business aimed at providing good sanitation, at the same time providing jobs to the local community through its modern toilets franchised as Fresh Life.
The idea came from a group of 3 guys who are studying at MIT in the US, and they came up with this project which was approved and got some funding, and then they launched it in the country. So Kenya was like the first launch pad.
To start with, the pilot project was to start at Mukuru kwa Ruben, a Kenyan slum situated east of the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. The idea of setting up this business was informed on the basis that 2.6 billion people do not have access to adequate sanitation. The result, disease and water pollution, caused 1.7 million deaths and loss of $84 billion in worker productivity each year. In Kenya's slums, 8 million people lack access to adequate sanitation. Mukuru kwa Ruben is an economically challenged society, and a great population feels there is no any other better chance of existence. But despite the fact waste affluent is the last thing this society will want to see, Sanergy company has introduced modern class toilets that have even employed a good population around. The first part of the model was to build and franchise a dense network of low-cost sanitation centers, eventually expanding to every block of the slum. Each center provides basic high-value services, clean toilets. Having a small footprint and low cost to construct, each center is designed to service a customer base of 77 people.
The idea of Fresh Life emerged as a result of seeing the kind of environment that the urban sanitation people work in. I'm sure you've walked through the community and you've seen the state of the sanitation. It's not really something that is, up to standard. And if you look at the number of interventions that have been done in the past, some of them have not been very effective because somebody comes, puts up a toilet, but then after some time, there's no sustainability. And so we looked at how do we address the whole value chain in terms of looking at providing sanitation for people, but also taking care of the waste so that the environment remains clean.
These centers are franchised to local entrepreneurs with direct financing from a local microfinance bank and the day-to-day operation of the facility. The franchisees earn income through pay-per-use fees, membership plans, and sale of complementary products to toilet users. The income generation potential is a natural incentive for the franchisees to maintain the facilities and provide good customer service. We had a chance to visit some of the 100 toilets constructed for customers in the interior of Mukuru kwa Ruben. Jonathan Mwenda is one of the entrepreneurs at his early 20s who have taken the toilet as his business.
Mimi naona kuna choo zingine mapit latrine huko mingi, labda bei rahisi zinakaa naweza ingia.
Unaona hizi
ni tofauti na hii.
Tofauti hii inakuwa kana ile yani made cleaning yani unaona ni smart, alafu yani kuna spray, everything inatolewa, but smell hakuna. Do una attract more customers.
He says the worst day for him, he makes 500 shillings and at most getting 2,000 daily. Rather than septic tanks, pit latrines or sewer systems, the EcoSan system used in the sanitation centers deposits the waste in airtight containers. These containers of urine and feces are collected on a daily basis by a waste collector using handcarts. Each day, Sanergy employees collect the full containers of waste from Fresh Life toilets operators and provide them with clean, empty containers. The containers full of waste are brought to their central processing facility. Benedict is one of the sanitary engineers who go around Mukuru kwa Ruben with a cart, collecting the waste in all their 100 toilets around.
Hii kazi imeokolea kijiji sana. Juu ungekuta hauwezi fika kutoka hapa mpaka sehemu fulani kusekuta uchafu hapo kwa njia. Lakini sasa vijiji mingi zimeimprove sana, especially kama Rube imekuwa juu sana. Juu hizi choo mostly nyingi ziko Rube. Job by the way hunisaidia na niokoleanga maisha ya kila siku, kama works kama zile zingine mtu anaweza kuanajivunia.
He is inspired to do this job to see that children in the area do not contract diseases associated with poor sanitation.
Kampuni hii tunaona mpaka saizi imeleta sura moja tofauti sana kwa hizo hapo awali, kwa sababu ni choo ambaye ni choo ya kipekee. Okay, haina harufu na zaidi haina hinzi kwa sababu haitumii maji.
The waste is then taken to a waste management center owned by Sanergy. The processing facility efficiently converts human waste into biogas through industrial scale anaerobic digestion process.
Kitu ya kwanza ni kucollect hiyo waste iko ndani. Tunaitoa na kuikea sana in case kusikue na spillage yoyote. Sasa after that naangalia kuna sanitary bin yuko hapo ndani. Naangalia iko aje, kama iko na kitu unatoa, kama hakuna then the next day.
Victor is the waste processing manager at Sanergy.
Okay, waste kisha toka pale hivyo kwa choo huko hivyo nje ikafika hapa kwa site, tuna kitu ya kwanza ni kuziweka kwa kipimo ambaye ni ratili. Tunachukua kilo ya mkojo na kilo ya kinyesi, na baada ya hapo hivyo tunazichukua tunaziweka pale hivyo kwa mabox ambaye zinafanya kuiva pale.
These wooden boxes you see around are the ones that store the solid waste for a period of 6 months where it undergoes fermentation. Its temperature is taken on a daily basis to determine its boiling rate.
Mpaka saizi mali imefika, ukiangalia inaendelea kuiva na uwezi jua ni kinyesi iko ndani kwa saizi, kwa sababu imezibwa na mura vizuri. Na zaidi bado ukiangalia karatasi nyeusi ambayo iko juu, hiyo karatasi inazuia ile maji kukuja, ile maji ambayo inaweza kuwa inamwagika ndani ama chafu zingine.
Kama hii imeshatolewa kwa box, tunaweka hapa ikauke haraka. Juu ikiwa kwa box ziko fix sana, ziweze kauka haraka. Sasa tunaweka hapa ikauke, na sasa tunapima hizi, tunaangalia temperature, tuangalie kama bado ile joto iko juu ama imereduce.
Initially at product conception, that was the idea. So the idea was to address the whole value chain in terms of sanitation. So for example, when you're talking about building toilets, it's not just about putting up the infrastructure. So what do you do with the waste after that? Because a lot of the toilets that you have seen in the community, most of them end up getting the waste into the drainage or into the rivers. So we needed to have a way of addressing the entire value chain. So how do you do, what do you do with the waste once people have already used the toilets?
After 6 months, the waste is taken out and laid in a heap to cool with its temperature regulated to ensure it ranges between 30 and 40 degrees, after where it is taken to the laboratory to determine whether the fertilizer is ready to be packed for market consumption.
Nimelearn about kila kitu inaweza work as long as uko na bidii ya kufanya kazi. Juu sikujua kunaweza chukua waste turn to manure. Juu kitambo tulikuwa kuna vitu waste hakuna mwenye alikuwa haja, na then hii kazi imefanya slums zikuwe safi. Zile flying toilets zimeisha. Jo tunajenga choo na tunachukua ndio tupate waste ya ku turn to manure.
Welcome back on set. Actually, that was a clip from Mukuru kwa Ruben, and we have one Dennis Ochieng who is going to expound further on why they decided to go the Fresh Life toilets. Maybe Mr. Dennis, I'm just looking at this. I don't know whether you visited Mukuru kwa Ruben or Mukuru kwa Jenga.
I will.
Okay, you will.
Yes.
Thank you for that. You come across people with wheelbarrows as they come out, trying to, do away with this kind of wastes. But why did you what actually prompted you to start this?
Yeah, I think it's better for me to first also look at the whole model, how it works. You know, the way the program was designed was that first you have to build a dense network of facilities in the communities, and this will help in reducing the kind of waste that goes into the community, into the rivers, into people's next to people's roofs and all that. Then from this kind of network, we're looking at creating jobs by franchising these toilets, looking at a franchise, the way another franchise works. And that's why we came up with the name Fresh Life. So Fresh Life is a franchise that was conceptualized to distribute this kind of built toilets. From that, there's the collection of this waste. And this collection that we're talking about, how we use the different models of collection, you find that we say that both the same way other companies organize their logistic is that it use the means that's appropriate for that location. If you go to the informal settlements, some roads are too narrow. You can't even use a wheelbarrow. Some roads are wide enough, you can use a handcart or a mkokoteni. And some roads, you can use a vehicle. So in our kind of logistic network, we're using all these kind of modes of transport. From areas where a wheelbarrow cannot fit, you have to at least lift it up to that point, put in a wheelbarrow, get it into a handcart, at some point have a collection center where this waste, then a pickup collects it into the next processing site. So this kind of collection model is, we wanted to model it using the experience of people who have worked in such kind of areas. And that's why we use those kind of transport. Then after the collection, now is where you are being explained to the processing bit. So the processing is converting what we've collected into fertilizer and biogas. And we hope that in future we'll even produce enough biogas to sell to the national grid. That is, I believe ambition.
Where the processing now, the fertilizer part and the Mukuru kwa Jenga is not very far.
Yeah.
It's within Mukuru kwa Jenga?
It's within Mukuru kwa Jenga as at now.
All right.
Yeah.
How are people responding to these projects? Are there those who are maybe trying to do the same, maybe buying those kind of toilets from you and starting their own? Because we've heard it's only 100 so far in Mukuru. Are there 100 toilets enough for Mukuru kwa Jenga?
No, as at now, it's not 100. If Mukuru kwa, we have, Mukuru is a big area. We have Mukuru kwa Ruben, Mukuru kwa Jenga, and then there's the area we call the Viondani area. The Viondani area covers like almost 8 areas, Kingston up to Paradise. So you've heard of Lunga Lunga, Sinai, that's all areas that's under Viwandani area. And in Kwa Ruben alone is where we are talking about 100 toilets. But in Kwa Jenga, we also have over 27 toilets in Kwa Jenga. And also in the Viwandani area, we have around 60-something, currently 67 toilets in Kwa Jenga. And then the areas that I mentioned to you around Gikomba, that is Kaloleni, City Stadium area, going towards Majengo and Biafra, we have also started having our presence in that area, and the network is growing and growing by the day. I'm sure by tomorrow it will be something bigger than that.
Yeah. And okay, looking at these slum areas, getting the minimal space that even a toilet can fit in one or another is a challenge. How do you go about establishing that this is where a toilet is going to be placed and such a person is in charge of this toilet?
That is the advantage of a Fresh Life toilet, because it requires very minimal space. If you have 1 meter by 1.6, you have a Fresh Life toilet. And this is the space that's available in corridors. For example, if you have the plots, you understand how the informal settlements are structured. In a plot, there's some space that can accommodate a bathroom, and in some cases you'll find maybe some pit latrine. And then for Fresh Life toilets, it fits into the smallest space available. And that's why it's selling and people are accepting it more. And then we've also come up with a design where we are converting pit latrines into Fresh Life toilets, because people are seeing the challenge of having a pit latrine in the informal settlements. Exhaustion is quite messy. We have the village ambulances. If you have been to that area, you know what, they'll know what an ambulance is. Waste is put in drums and taken into the raw sewer, taken into rivers and some trenches and all that. So people who have seen the challenge are now converting into the Fresh Life toilets, because here you'll have no headache of exhaustion. and the smell that emanates from pit latrines is not there, and that's why the acceptance is moving faster. And if you look at, you mentioned about 100 not being enough for Mukuru. Yes, it's not enough. And we know that we have only been in Mukuru area for now less than 2 years, and we are at 215 already franchised toilets, and we know this number is growing by the day because of the brand presence. People are now, and even the confidence they're building, many people are coming in, some of them just walking into our offices are saying, I also need this facility. I've seen it working in somebody, I also need to have one.
And when we talk about sustainability, we've seen others try the same business, but they have failed. What is Sanergy doing different for the sake of sustainability?
Our approach is what makes a difference, because we didn't just want to look at solving one problem or providing the facilities into the community, but we're looking at the whole chain of provide, and also look at the other end product that's going to be of more value than what initially was thought. So if you look at the benefit of producing fertilizer and getting biogas, that means that to sustain this kind of production, you must be there. There's no way you can say, now I have enough toilets, let me move out. The ultimate goal is not having the dense network, but looking at how are we going to convert this waste into something more valuable than it was. It was called waste, but as at this point, we don't see that waste, but we see it as ingredient for another product. So it's not a byproduct as people would consider it. It's not a byproduct, but it's like the ingredient that's required to make the fertilizer and produce the biogas.
Okay. Yeah. Earlier on, we saw a very young man at his early 20s being in charge of a few toilets. I don't know, how do you go about, even if I was one who's willing to have a toilet, how is the process of setting up this toilet?
We have our team on the ground to talk to people, potential business people, or people who are in locations that we feel need this kind of facility. They talk to them, some of them get convinced, and then they come to us and go through what we call a land review process, look at the place, is it suitable? Then we also go an extra mile, not just to look at somebody, the money bit someone is buying, but look at that location. Is this something that's going to sustain a business? So looking at sanitation as a business, but not just as a way of getting some toilets in the community. So that's why we go that extra mile of interviewing this person, talking to them, understanding, are they fully understanding what they're getting into? What kind of business approach are they going to take to ensure that this works for them? Because as a person and as a person in charge of operations, my greatest happiness is seeing a successful entrepreneur. I'll not want to see somebody come and establish a toilet, then 1 week down the line, they're so disappointed, they're saying, look, I've dumped all my money into this and it's not working. So we go that extra mile to show that this is going to work for them. And we talk with them and we share with them and say, look, other people have done this. If you approach it this way you want to approach it, it might not work for you. Why can't you look for maybe an alternative location? Why can't you, it's a business counseling model, not just any other kind of way of just putting toilets in anyhow. Yeah.
And how much do you have to pay? I was just wondering, because we see children, adults, different needs. How is the pay?
Yeah, as of now, is a pay-per-use for the users. The most recommended price is having it at 5 shillings for adults, and then for children it's between 3 to 2 shillings. In some areas, because of the law of demand, you find that some people would have to go higher than that. And some areas whereby already people are poorer than the other poor. No, even the small settlements, there's areas that are inhabited by the poor of the poor, not just poor, but they'll go a little bit lower to that. But to sustain a business, and based on what they provide, they have to give price it at a level whereby it's sustainable to them. That's why they end up being above what other people are providing, just because they know, yes, you can provide 1 shilling for toilet use, but I'll provide 3 shillings for mine. But people who are staying in that area, they'll still come back and use my facility because they get more than just the use. Yes. As you can see, they are given tissue paper, which in some places, in other toilets, they don't give. They have a hand washing facility with soap, which is quite affordable to some people. And also in these areas, you find that the kind of freshness that the toilet offers is what motivates people to continue using it. And if you ask somebody, why do you prefer to use a Fresh Life toilet and not other toilets, yet maybe the Fresh Life toilet is charging higher, they'll tell you, look, even if I have my jacket, I don't have to leave it outside to get into a Fresh Life toilet. I'll go in my jacket. You have a hanger inside there. Hang your jacket, do your thing, get out. No smell that will follow you after you visit the facility. And that's what makes people like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in the kind of business Sanergy is involved in, how do you go about creating a brand and also ensuring that their users for the same? I know this is part of the marketing bit, but how do you go about creating a brand for such kind of a business?
We have a marketing team that don't head it, but we have a person heading the marketing team, and his daily duty is to ensure that the brand is recognized. And as of now, that's one thing that we have really achieved in the areas. The brand recognition is so high. And then by doing this, we have what we call opening ceremonies. We have community events that take place around a new location. For example, if you open a toilet in one area of Mukuru, we hold an opening ceremony. And this ceremony is to create awareness. People see the flyers around, people talking to them, just informing them about the product that is in the area. And that one makes people to come and use the facility. So through the opening ceremonies, through kind of market storming events, we have managed to create a great demand for the product.
Actually, viewer, yes, today we are talking about toilet business. I know to many this may sound a little bit weird to talk about, but believe you me, there are some people who do not have the privilege to have, you know, clean, fresh toilets within their area, and this is why Dennis Ochieng and the other likes of him started this company, just to see to it that, you know, the people around Mukuru, Kwajenga and other slums are accessing, well, good sanitation, I would say, and to the proper best. And you know what amazes most is after all that, they have, can call it a byproduct, fertilizer and biogas. But actually, before we go on with our discussion, let's watch the next video. We'll get back to you.
The fertilizer is packed in a 50 kg bag, which goes for 5,000 Kenyan shillings on local market.
Mbolea yetu inauziwa watu wote hapa Kenya, na zaidi inauziwa wenye shamba na wengine wenye maua.
Sanergy has ensured everything is sourced locally, including the materials that construct the toilets themselves.
No, so this toilet is 100%, the materials are 100% locally sourced. So you're talking of cement, the paints, the squat plate, which is manufactured locally, the mabatis as well. So everything is 100% sourced locally, which means then we are actually supporting the local industries as well.
The company has a self-sufficient workshop that makes wall concretes used for toilet walls. Cliff Mtenyo is the workshop captain.
We normally go for land review, and when we have approved, the first step is to dig a pit of 2 by 2, and then we insert the foundation posts at the ground, and then we place the floor slab on top. And for a toilet to be complete, it needs 5 walls, 4 corners, and 1 floor. Our toilets are well appreciated at the community because we have really improved the sanitation.
The process of building the toilet is simple and takes only 2 days from the day of approval.
So this is typically a Fresh Life toilet. So once you get in, you have what we call the UDDT technology, urine diverting to dry toilet. So you have the separation of the solid waste from urine. So once somebody enters, then they would squat facing the door, and then we have a directions pamphlet here, so somebody can actually be able to see how you'll be able to use the toilet, because again, this is not the conventional toilet that people have. So we provided that direction. Then inside here you can see some 3 containers. One is for the sanitary bin, the other one is for the other type of waste, because we wouldn't want any other type of matter to get into the toilet area. And then you have a sawdust bin. So once somebody has finished with the toilet, then they would scoop the sawdust here and then just pour it into the waste. So this does two things. Number one, it's able to cover the waste so that then the next person coming will not be exposed to that. But number two, it also eliminates the flies. So then because there is no exposure of solid waste, then we will not find any flies. So that's basically the process. So we also have, for example, aesthetic things like a mirror, so somebody can actually be able to, look at yourself. So that's the process of toilet usage.
Through this, Sanergy has created 100 direct jobs and 150 indirect jobs to the local entrepreneurs through its industrial-based investment.
So our toilets are basically franchised to entrepreneurs. So people within the community, either you're running a shop, a kiosk, or a water vendor, and you have that entrepreneurial business, then you would be qualified to run a toilet. So it's basically getting it as a business opportunity, number one, but also a service to the community.
John Kitetu is another person that has benefited indirectly.
Nafanya kawaida biashara ya kitu ya fresh life kama huduma ambayo ninapeana kwa community ile tunaishi nao hapa. Tofauti moja ni hii choo, space yake ni ndogo penye inasimama, alafu haina harufu, na tena usalama wa watoto, kuweka service yake ni nzuri, haitatizi watoto kuenda. Kulingana na record, kwa siku nakuwa na wateja kama between 150 na 200. Kiwango cha chini kabisa sema ni 700. Cha juu kabisa ni sema 950 hapo. Hapo kabla hatujajua mambo ya fresh life, tulikuwa na shida ya kinyesi kutapakaa huku na huku. Hii choo imechangia sana kwa usafi, na pia familia yangu imepata choo ambaye ni safi kwa ujumla.
Unakuta kila mtu anafurahia hii kazi juu kama hawayuko si pia tuyuko wax.
Hii dunia, as long as uko na small idea, tafuta wengine, mkae chini, muongee juu hiyo idea yako, uone mnaweza fanya nini, na hiyo idea inaweza tusaidia aje, tutengeneze kitu ya kuleta faida. Wasingie kwa tabia zingine zenye hazifai, zenye zinapoteza maisha. Hii dunia, as long as uko na more than 5,000, unaweza start a business and grow, upate 1.something million. Yeah. Si lazima ukuwe na mingi, start with the small, upate hiyo kubwa. Hata si atu kujua kazi, lakini saa hii niko na idea, naweza jua waste inaweza leta biogas, stima ifanye kazi. Waste inaleta mbolea, vitu ziive poa.
I think the Fresh Life project really demonstrates how you can create or show impact in the community, not just in terms of addressing sanitation, which we are, but also in terms of looking at the socio-economic aspect of the people. As I told you, we have now the upwards of 200 people and 50 people that are working here, most of who come from the community. You're talking about the people that collect the waste, talking about the people that do sales in the community, the people that do marketing as well. So we are really getting people from unemployment to actually gainful employment through the sanitation work that we do.
The company's 5-year strategic plan is to be able to provide proper sanitation to a wider urban slum area and create jobs to the local community.
In terms of plan, we plan to expand. So the model is built on a dense network of toilets, as you have seen in the community. So we plan to move into new areas as we expand. So we started in Mukuru. As I told you, we'll soon move into Kayaba and other informal settlements as well. So in terms of expansion, I think I would say that we're really looking at addressing the whole of the informal settlements in Nairobi and even beyond.
Welcome back to Zubin Africa. This is the Monday segment, Meet the CEO, and today we've gone the sanitation way and we have Sanergy on board, Sanergy actually on board. And as we told you earlier to the Bonda before, is our SMS line. If you have any question or suggestion, anything that you want to know about today's topic, you can just SMS. And I know our guest on set, Mr. Dennis Ocheng, will be more than glad to answer some of your questions. And as I can see, we have someone asking what is the full name and contacts of the toilet company. Perhaps you will tell them again what is Sanergy, your contacts, and how they can find you.
Okay. The company is called Sanergy Limited. It's based in Mukuru as at now, and they can reach us through telephone contact 0788 511 824. So through that number 824, through that number they can be assisted anytime. But they also contact us through the social media. If someone is on Facebook, just like our page and we'll get back to you.
We will be giving you those contacts later on before we end the show. And I would want to know, when you talk about sanitation, you cannot talk about sanitation and not talk about water. And as you know, in the slum areas, water is a very big challenge. How are you curbing the two?
Yeah, as at now, we understand and acknowledge the dire need for water provision in the informal settlements. But as a company, we realize that the provision of water is more of a bigger government responsibility. And to address this issue without our little resources will not make much of an impact. We are also working with other partners who are providing the services like water in the areas, just to ensure that as much as we are addressing the sanitation aspect, then the water aspect is addressed by other partners who are already working in that area. So we don't want to get into an area which our business model is not, that's not the strength of our business model, but also acknowledge the challenge and bring in other partners who already have expertise in those areas. And that's why we have other partners in the area.
Okay, looking at the kind of business that you and maybe those on the ground do, this is not a job that many would love maybe to have a hands-on with. How proud are you and how much ego do you carry this job?
I can tell you as a person, it's so gratifying to provide a service that people see the benefit on the ground. And I'm sure if you look at our team at Sanergy, we have a team of very motivated personnel. They like what they're doing, and that's why it keeps them. You see people always happy and doing their work without someone saying to closely monitor them. They are happy because they are providing a service to the community that is dearly needed. And as a person also, I can tell you that if you walk around and wearing your Fresh Life t-shirt and you find someone happy and saying, oh, Fresh Life, then you find that kind of appreciation that, yeah, I'm doing something that people are happy about too. Yeah.
And then when it comes to the structure itself, when maybe perhaps someone wants to buy, do you make them and do you deliver them? Where do you get your materials to make all that?
If you look at the clip that you just played, is that we prefabricate the whole component of the toilet at our site. We have a team that is engineering team that deals with that. After the prefabrication, then we transport them to your location. Once you've bought it, your work is done. The rest is leave it to us. We do the installation, the painting, and till it's ready for use. We hand over to you a finished product. So the prefabrication is done on site using cement blocks. So it's not really made of wood or plastic. It's concrete structure. But the advantage is that these are parts that, due to the nature of informal settlements, if there's a threat of demolition, we can easily dismantle it and then carry it away and assemble it in another location without losing the whole facility. So that's one big advantage that it has. Okay,
briefly, I'd love to know your end product, the fertilizer. Who do you sell it to, and is it KEP certified, or what standards do you make sure that it is for the right market?
As at now, as maybe you've seen in that clip, we're in that process of accumulating enough quantity to ensure that we meet the demand. We've created demand. We've talked to flower farms. We've talked to coffee and tea plantations. The demand that they require is massive. So as at now, we are working with government labs. We've worked with NEMA. We've worked with all these government authorities to ensure that whatever we are having is safe and has the nutrients that are required of such a product. So all the certification, all the lab testing is done independently, not as doing the lab test and saying, oh, this product has this kind of ingredients. We have independent labs that have done for us the pre-tests, and we are continuing to work with the government as we hope that in the coming months we'll have enough quantity to supply the market. As you could see, that those heaps of fertilizer already in the process, we have over 800 tons of fertilizer in process. And all these, we hope that will go to the market in a flash because the demand is there in the community.
And then what is your expansion plan in future? Are you still sticking to the slums, or will you diversify or maybe make something different?
We have a technical team that is working on different products suitable for different markets, or let's say the needs in the community. Our strategic plan for expansion is due to the nature of or the commitment to collect waste on a daily basis. We can't expand everywhere on, like, the next day you move and say, oh, we want to have one in this area. We have to have a plan of ensure that we move from a central point and continue moving as we build the network of the facilities. And this one, as at now, we're saying we are ready to move into other parts of Nairobi by next year. And then after 2014, we want to move across Kenya and even go beyond the borders. And we are saying that for the rural areas, we're developing a different product because, you know, in the rural areas, the population of people living in one area might not support the business model that we are using here, which is charged on a user fee, but might be based on a household level. So we want to look at a product that might be suitable for the household level at that point if you go to the rural areas. But then if you go to other urban areas and other areas with dense population, then what we have currently will work and is suitable for those kind of areas.
Actually, we have to end the show. Time is against us, but I would love to hear what is your advice to the youth, especially considering today is the International Youth Day. What advice do you have to the youth?
Don't sit at home and say, I'm waiting for that job to come. Whatever it is, create a job for yourself. We have opportunities, and even now we are working with a group of 40 youths who want to start the sanitation business. Yes, we thought youths would not pick up a sanitation business, but they're picking it up. Pick a job, do what you want to do, and ensure that you do it well. Don't give it your all, because if you don't give it your all, it is doomed to fail. Don't give it like I'm trying and see what it happens. Say, here is where my future lies. Pick it up, do it, and you will succeed.
Right, very important. Well, this has been Zoom in Africa, and to be specific, Meet the CEO, which is always our Monday segment. And if you didn't get the contacts, it is 0788 511 824. Thank you so much for staying tuned. My name is Florence Ndongo. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. God bless you.
On behalf of all the rest of the crew who have made this show a possibility, including our guest here, I have been your host, Henry Kuria. Until tomorrow, enjoy the rest of your viewing.
This is not much, but there's no need for this, you know. Now we're sharing the same boat, eh? Yes, of course. If you're going to help a friend, you have to go all the way, right?
You don't have to tell me twice. Hey, quickly, just take it while no one else is looking.
Must I really?
Your conscience, does it not suffer from your greed?
We don't accept such things.
I will accept it only at heart.
Your clean conscience keeps Kenya smiling.
Boys will always be boys, and their thrill for natural fruit remains the same. So now you can have that same natural fruit taste with Peak and Peel juice. The wholesome taste that brings out that natural cheer. Now in a new convenient pack.
Are you on the lookout for roofing systems where quality meets value? Do not look further. Presenting Prestige Shelters, approved by the Kenya Bureau of Standards. Our roofs are excellently fixed with original Italian stone chips, American adhesives with water harvesting ability, thermal soundproof, wind and fire resistant, and most importantly, environment friendly. Why Prestige Shelter Roofing Systems? They have a high performance and are lightweighted with a low life cycle cost with a very attractive appearance. Amazing structure of acrylic coats, epoxy primer, among others. For more information, call the numbers on your screen. Do not opt for a second option. Go for Prestige Shelters where quality meets value.